Hello, essay writers. Welcome to a cookbook of academic essay writing. In our lecture 2, we discussed academic writing genres and what are the differences between academic writing and other sort of writings. And we tried to define academic essay writing. So in this lecture, we're going to understand academic essay writing style, or you can say academic writing features. So we have a number of academic writing features or style. Let's see, the first one is formal vocabulary. So in academic writing, you are going to use formal vocabulary, not informal vocabulary. How we can understand the formal vocabulary and not informal vocabulary? So if you read a newspaper article or a friend's text message or an email text, and at the same time, if you read a book chapter or an academic writing such as academic article, then you can feel the differences between informal vocabulary uses and formal vocabulary uses. Okay, for example, if we try to see these examples, first one is research shows. Shows is less formal or informal. So instead of shows, you should use indicates. So indicates is more formal than shows. Okay, the second example, the 5 problems have been found. Found is less formal than discovered. So in place of this found, you should use discovered. Third example is the changes were bad. The bad is a kind of a spoken form, like informal tone. So you can use it. You can use bad when you talk to your friend. So not in academic writing. So in academic writing, it should be the changes were unnecessary. So unnecessary is more formal than bad. The next one is lots of people. Lots of is a spoken form, and you can write to your friend when you send a text message, okay, or any informal kind of writing. So instead of lots of, always use many. Many people is more formal than lots of people. So there are many reasons for this. Many reasons. This phrase is not formal, it is informal. So instead of many reasons, use causes for this. Okay, so we will learn more when we are going to learn in next lecture. I think we're going to start learning our first objective, which is words and phrases, academic vocabulary, word list. This is related to first objective. The next one is multi-word verbs. So always try to avoid using multi-word verbs. This is basically phrasal verbs. We can see some examples here. We had many issues to think about. So look at here, think about 2 words. So instead of 2 words, you should use 1 word, which is consider. So we had many issues to think about. Instead of think about, you should use consider. So think about is a kind of informal sort of phrase. You can use it when you talk to your friend. We use it when use this phrase when we talk to someone. Okay, so he carried out an investigation. Instead of carried out 2 words, so replace carried out with performed. So he performed an investigation is more formal. The situation got worse. This is a completely spoken form. Instead of got worse, use deteriorated. The prices are going up. So going up, 2 words. Instead of going up, use increasing. So in academic writing, we say less is more, meaning that you have to use less words, but you are going to express more. And then next one is passive voice. So to be honest, active voice is more direct and vigorous, but passive voice sometimes is welcome and accepted. It totally depends on what is your argument and what context you are going to present. If you want to stress more on object rather than subject, then use passive voice. But if you want to present subject to your audience, then use active voice. So here are some examples. So we can solve the problem, and then passive is problem can be solved. If the problem in your writing has more importance, then okay, use a problem as a passive voice. But the matter of the fact is that active voice is more direct, vigorous, and lively. Most of the time, we try to use active voice, but to be honest, again, I'm saying it is really depending on what you are going to argue and what you're going to present to your audience. Okay, so the next one is cautious language. This one is very, very important. So in academic writing, sometimes you have to clarify your position, your stance on a subject, which is called your presence, so your voice. So always we struggle to put our comments and our opinion, what we think about as writers. So you must be present in your writing. But in terms of presenting your writing, there are some cautious languages, because nothing is absolute. So you can't say something which is very strong, because, so for example, the evidence you are presenting should not be conclusive enough to state something will definitely happen. So if you say, okay, that's it, this is close, and this is going to happen. So how do you know this is going to happen? Because nothing is confirmed. So you have to be very careful using cautious language when you provide your statement, your opinions, your arguments, and your comments in the writing. So be careful about making some sweeping comments. Here are some cautious languages. Cautious language is sometimes called hedging words. So, for example, we can see introductory verbs, like you can use seem, tend, look like, appear. Certain lexical verbs like believe, assume, will, must. There is a list of hedging words or cautious languages. So you can use could be or might be, may be possible. So it is important to develop, it is useful. This kind of words you are going to use when you clarify your position. So, but there are some differences between must and may and might. So we will learn all these when we will study vocabulary. So there are subtle differences between these words. So you have to be very careful using all these words when you make a comment or clarify your argument. Okay, the next is objective versus subjective language. So we can see that in general, objective language we use rather than personal. So what does it mean? It means readers want to know what information you are providing to them. What is your argument? They are interested in knowing your studies, what you have found, your voice, and what your beliefs, your thoughts, based on your study, research, and analysis and discussions. They are not interested knowing about you. So they want to know about your argument. So in academic writing, we always try to use objective sort of language. How can we avoid using subjective language and using more objective language? So simply do not use I, me, you, we. So instead of including all the subjective words, use impersonal language, such as it is worth to consider. Then write your argument or what you want to state. The data indicates that when you explain the data. Don't say I think this data or I claim this. So it is evident that this kind of phrases you can use for making your writing more objective. Okay, the next one is emotive language. But the matter of fact is that when your writing is objective, meaning that your writing is impersonal, so you're not using I, we, me, and you, so then there is a very little room for emotive language. What are emotive language? Like unfortunately, luckily, surprisingly, thankfully, all these kind of words. This is a sort of emotional language. So we always avoid using emotive language like this. Okay, the next one is use of questions. We can see that sometimes people use questions for introducing a topic or a subject, and this is not acceptable in academic writing. You can find it maybe when you read a newspaper article or a blog. So they use this kind of language, but not in academic writing. We can see this example here. increasing number of students are choosing computer science as their university subject. What is the reason for this? Many students believe. So what is the point using what is the reason for this question? No need to ask these questions to reader. Subsequently, you are going to answer this question. So why we are going to ask questions to the reader? So instead, you can rewrite and express like this. Increasing number of students are choosing computer science as their university subject. Then straight away, without asking any question, you can say that the reason for this is that many students believe. That's it. There is no point of using any questions. Okay, so next one is contracted forms. We never use any contracted forms like don't, can't, shouldn't, won't, haven't, isn't. These all are informal. These all are written form. These all are spoken form of language. So we always avoid using this kind of contracted forms in academic writing. Okay, the last one is reference. So when you write your academic essay, sometimes you borrow some ideas or arguments and use them in your writing. So those arguments are not yours. So you are just importing those arguments from someone else. When you do that, you must acknowledge the source. So you must acknowledge the author of those sources. Who has written these arguments? Whose idea you are borrowing? So make sure you do that. So all these 9 styles and features we have to keep in mind, but there are some more. When we study paragraph writing especially, we will learn them. Okay, the quiz time. So please pause the video and replace the underlined informal with formal words. All these are informal words. Tried, given, like, has, got to, enough. So replace them with formal words. Pause the video and do it, please. I hope you got it. So first one is scientists have tried to prove. So tried is informal. Instead of tried, we can say attempted. Scientists have attempted to prove. It's more formal. Okay. So in place of given to, 200,000 pound was given to charity is informal. So in place of given, we use donated to. It's more clear and formal. So instead of like, here he discussed issues like famine and poverty. So we can use such as, not like. Like is spoken form, like informal. So he has got to find alternatives. Instead of has got to is spoken form and is informal, completely informal. So instead of has got to, we need to write needs. We do not have enough resources. So instead enough is informal, so instead of enough, write sufficient. Okay, elicitation, top tips, and what next? So please tell me some differences between spoken and written English. Please write down in the comment box when you watch this video. And top tips, I would say always make a checklist of all these styles and check that you have followed all these styles when writing your academic essay. So what next? Next lecture, we're going to start learning words and phrases that you can use in your academic writing. So academic vocabulary or academic word list. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next lecture.